Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to Season 1, Episode 10 of Huge Sports Talk. We're going to be talking about several sports. We're going to be talking about soccer, football, hockey, basketball, baseball, which has some interesting news today, as well as access football and also the DFL. And also the new league called the UAFL as well. That's going to be beginning next month. So here we're going to start off with American football. From on here. So let's check that out real quick. So it is week 13. Here are the standings. As you can see, the Ravens, Patriots, Titans, Chiefs, Bengals, Bills, and the Chargers are in playoff range right now. Today's Sunday, so that could change. Especially for the Chargers, who could lose their spot to either the Raiders or the Broncos. Or maybe the Colts or Browns as well. But the Raiders and Broncos have a higher chance. But it all depends on what teams have a bye week, what teams can win games, what team loses. It's all that. So a lot of things on the line. And for the Steelers, Dolphins, Jets, Texans, and Jaguars are still a long stretch from reaching the playoffs as well. As you can see, the Texans and the Jaguars cannot clinch the top two seeds in the AFC, which means they can eat the highest they can get is third seed if they win on out and certain scenarios happen. And if any of these teams keeps losing, then they're going to face the Big E, which means they would not make the playoffs anyways. NFC. Let's see who's in the NFC. Ranked number 1 is the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, Cardinals, Packers, Buccaneers, Cowboys, Rams, 49ers, and the Washington football team are all in playoff range. As we got who could take the spots though? It is a mixture between the Vikings, the Falcons, Eagles, Panthers, and the Saints that could take over Washington football team's spot in any way. So it's 5 different teams that could possibly take over the conference 7th seed. You got the Giants, who's running around. And then you got the Lions, who's still going to be ranked dead last, as the highest seed they can get now is 6th seed if they win on out and certain scenarios happen. What is my opinion on War Thunder? I don't know what that is. I know a Golden Thunder, but not a War Thunder. Alright, moving on to college football. Here are the national rankings. The top 4 get to make the playoffs. Number 1, Michigan. Oh, yeah, I think all the games are done by now, so therefore the teams could make the playoffs are on here. So you got Michigan University. You have Alabama from the SEC. Alabama always gets on here. I don't know why. Number 3, Cincinnati from AM Athletic. And the fourth and final spot in the playoffs, Georgia, SEC. So now the playoff probabilities are official. Everyone else is eliminated. Michigan, Alabama, Cincinnati, and Georgia are the final 4 colleges in the entire country. One of these 4 will become the main champs. It will be Michigan versus Georgia and Alabama versus Cincinnati. Georgia was in number 1 all this time. Now they got pushed all the way to 4th. Alabama won the game against Georgia, which is the reason why. Alabama did stay in 2nd, but Michigan rose quickly to 1st. So it'll be Michigan versus Georgia and Alabama versus Cincinnati. I want you to read this. Hello, this is your daily dose of internet. That's a good channel. You should subscribe to him. All right, moving on to MLS postseason content. So a lot of things has happened. Boom, here's the bracket. Right here, in the last couple of days, New York City Football Club has defeated the number 1 New England Revolution. So now the highest remaining seed now goes to the Philadelphia Union. So it's going to be New York City versus Philadelphia in the Eastern Conference Final in the MLS. Both of these teams have pulled up some crazy performances. New York with the upset against the Revolution. And Philadelphia just took care of Nashville as well in a tight game as well. In the Western Conference, the Timbers first took care of the Rapids. Then Real Salt Lake took care of Sporting Kansas City. And in the Western Conference Final, the Portland Timbers topped it off 2-0. And they're heading to the MLS Cup. In the MLS Cup Finals, it's either going to be New York City or Philadelphia Union that will be playing the Portland Timbers in the finals. So the finals is coming up soon, and after that, the off season would start until April of the next year, as that's when the regular season for 2022 comes, and that is also when St. Louis is going to be joining us in the league as well, and then the year after that, Carolina will as well, as this league is expanding a lot. This year was also an expansion as well. Austin joined the league this season. Moving on to the National Basketball Association, Eastern Conference. Look at the teams that are on here. You have the Nets, the Bulls, the Bucks, Wizards, Heat, Cavaliers, Celtics, Hornets, Sixers, and Hawks. As my team has dropped to 4th, I think. They were in 1st a couple of weeks ago, but now they're in 4th. As the 76ers were 1st last year, now they are in 9th. So they would play in the play-in tournament. And then we get to the 5 teams of shame, which is not going to be in the playoffs if they don't get any better. The Canucks, which made the playoffs last year. The Raptors, the Pacers, which made the play-in tournament last year. The Magic, and the Pistons. So there's going to be 2 teams that have not made the playoffs last season or the play-in tournament that's in the top 10 right now. That goes to the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Everybody else has been in the playoffs last season. For the West, however, let's check. Who's number 1? The Warriors are still number 1 as of week 7. The Suns, the Jazz, Grizzlies, Clippers, Lakers, Mavericks, Nuggets, Timberwolves, and the Trailblazers. Now, there are, I believe, 2 teams that have not made the playoffs last season that are in postseason playtime, which is the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves. As the city of Arizona is headed back to its winning ways, except for hockey. And baseball. And maybe MLS as well, because they don't have a team in that as well. They could get a team in the future, but who knows? The 5 teams that aren't in the playoffs right now is the Kings, the Spurs, which made the playoffs last season, the Pelicans, the Rockets, and the Thunder. So actually, it's only one change. I guess it's the Timberwolves. Yeah, because the Grizzlies were in the play-in tournament. Moving on to the NHL, National Hockey League. Let's see who could make the playoffs in here. Number 1, the Washington Capitals. And for once, we're back to number 1 in the conference. With a record of 15-4-6. Which is basically 15 wins, 4 losses, and 6 overtime losses. Overtime losses give you 1 point. A regular win is 2 points. Now, they used to have ties as well, so there would be like 4 different numbers, but they removed that. Number 2, New York Rangers. These guys did not make the playoffs last season, so they are on a roll now with their team. They have only an 8% chance to miss the playoffs right now. And a 39% chance to win the division, which is higher than the Capitals as of right now. So the Rangers have the biggest chance to win first seed right now. The Capitals' biggest chance is the second seed. Number 3, the Carolina Hurricanes. The Carolina Hurricanes has been really good so far. They were number 1 in the conference in the division for the longest time, but the Rangers and the Capitals caught up to them and took over them. But they don't have a huge point difference, as the Capitals have 36 points, Rangers 35, and Hurricanes 33. And moving on to number 4, Florida Panthers, 17-4-3, which is currently which is 37 points, which is more than the Capitals have. Number 5, Toronto Maple Leafs with 36 points is also lucky this season. Number 6, Tampa Bay Lightning with 32 points. Number 7, Detroit Red Wings. Notice, this is a notice. The Red Wings did not make the playoffs last season, so they must be on a roll this season. But as you can see in the red right here, they're not currently on the roll to get first or second seeds in the Atlantic Division, as they're headed more towards third seed in the Atlantic Division. And number 8, the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins were division champion, one of the 4 division champions last season. Now they are in 8th in the entire playoff picture, which is still in the range, but they really need to get their offense going because they have a 61% chance to miss the whole thing. So as you can see, there are 2 teams that did not make the playoffs here last season. Let's check the rest. The first non-playoff team member is the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins did make the playoffs last season, so right now they are headed down and they could be in rebuilding pretty soon. Number 10, St. Louis. No, I keep doing that. That's the second week in a row. Columbus Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets didn't make the playoffs either last season, so they haven't really improved other than getting to 10th in the conference. Then the third team to not be in playoff range is the New Jersey Devils. This team finished 7th in the East Division last season, and are probably looking to miss the playoffs again. Next up, the Philadelphia Flyers were in playoff range at the beginning of the season. Now they're not. They're back to their usual ways of last season to miss games and probably miss the playoffs. I think they used to be a playoff team before I began watching hockey, but now they are in rebuilding. Buffalo Sabres, the team that's been in rebuilding forever. They literally got dead last in the league twice in a row for the 2019-2020 season and the 2021 season. As now it's the 2021-2022 season, and they're still not doing good. So this could be a long rebuild for the Buffalo Sabres. Montreal Canadiens. Looks like they were doing worse than they did last season. Last season they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, and now they're in now they are literally 6 spots behind getting into the playoffs. And they already have a 99% chance, so things could be kind of crazy for them. Then you have the New York Islanders. Another team that made the playoffs last season and made it to the Final Four. Now they are facing rebuilding as well. And then the dead last team is the Ottawa Senators. They were pretty bad last season as well, and are looking to probably have to rebuild. The team with the highest chance to miss the playoffs as of right now is the Montreal Canadiens. As there is a postseason probability chart right here for every single team. And then you got the Western Conference. You got the Calgary Flames, number one. You got the Calgary Flames, Edmonton Oilers, Anaheim Ducks, Minnesota Wild, St. Louis Blues, Nashville Predators, San Jose Sharks, and the Colorado Avalanche. Look at that. San Jose is in playoff range. It's not unusual. It is not unusual for the Sharks to be in not playoff range, but look at that, they're back. But they did make the playoffs several other times and did play in the Stanley Cup, I think, once, maybe, I don't know. So teams that are on here that did not make the playoffs last season is the Calgary Flames, the Anaheim Ducks, and the San Jose Sharks. So that's three different teams that did not make the playoffs last season that could make it. All right, other teams include the Dallas Stars, Las Vegas Golden Knights, Winnipeg Jets, Los Angeles Kings, Seattle Kraken, Chicago Blackhawks, Vancouver Canucks, and, of course, the worst team in the NHL, the Arizona Coyotes, are all trying to rebuild. No eliminations yet, though. This isn't a 56 game season like it was last season, so it will take long. It will be less eliminations per week than there was last season, because last season again was a 56 game season. This one is an 82 game season, like normal. Speaking of season length, let's talk about some baseball news. Although it's not on here, but for those of you who've been following the MLB recently, there's news that, of course, it's already taken effect as of December 1st. There is a Major League Baseball lockout, and what this means is basically two groups of people, the commissioner decided to issue a lockout because the MLB and the MLBPA cannot reach an agreement for the upcoming couple of seasons, which can basically what the Major League Baseball and Major League Baseball Players Association do is they basically talk to each other about the season and about what the rules are. There are several things that they are upset about, like, for example, the MLBPA or the players are upset that certain people could get paid way too much. They are also talking about expanding the number of teams to reach the playoffs. And another is teams are purposely losing to get good draft picks. Probably the Baltimore Orioles, because they haven't done anything for the last several years. Same with the couple of other teams. So there's several things that they want to get changed before this league can happen. But if the lockout doesn't end by February, real troubles will start, as they'll start missing preseason games. And then they'll really be in trouble because it could have a chance to turn into the NHL 2005 lockout, which canceled the whole season. Must have been a boring year for them. And also what a lockout means is players cannot be traded. Owners cannot sign free agents. And players cannot use team-owned facilities, which means they're going to have to practice on probably gyms like YMCA or anything that has a baseball field that is not owned by the MLB. Which possibly could include MILB things too, but there's still some talks about them, even though they're kind of pointless. Because, again, there's a lockout. And if you're from some other governmental businesses, basically what a MLB lockout is kind of similar to when the government shuts down, except it just shuts down everything in the whole sports division, which is literally almost everything in MLB. All right, moving on to the next sport is the European Soccer League, starting with the English Premier League. Week 17 is underway. Let's see the standings. Oh, what did you look at that? Well, I don't think there's going to be any teams getting eliminated until at least week... until at least week 21. So it's a couple weeks away. Once week 21 starts, that's when all the clinches and the eliminations begin. Because, again, there's still more than a half of a season to come back and not get eliminated. But then again, you can score 3 points in a win. So anything is possible. And the big change right here this week, Manchester City is number 1 now. They took over Chelsea. And now they're the ones that could be winning the Premier League. It would go to Manchester City over a couple of other teams. In number 2, there is Liverpool, which are only behind by 1 point. Although Manchester City did beat Liverpool last night, I believe. Chelsea is at 33 points, so they could take first with a win as well. And West Hamilton, however, they're going to have to win multiple games before they can even get to first. And everybody else, Tottenham Hotspur... it's the same way. They also have to win a lot of games to get in. Everybody else is probably not even have a good chance to get in the next season to win the Champions League or everything. They have to get somewhere up in the top 4 for Champions League, number 5 for the Europa League, and number 1 to be the EPL champions. Next up is the LL. It's week 17 out of 41, which is the same season length. Real Madrid still number 1. The number 1 wins the league. Top 4 make the Champions League. I think the 3-star was the advancement to the Europa League. And number 6 is Europa League Tourney, which is a qualification round to get into the Europa League. In the Germany Premier League, also known as Bundesliga. You have Bayern Munich still number 1. What's unique about this league is there is a relegation playoff, which is something the UAFL also has at the end of the postseason of the year, which would obviously there would be. We'll talk about that later once we get into the Axis football unit. Italian soccer, you have AC Milan in number 1. And in French soccer, you have Paris SG number 1, of course. If you are from the areas, if you are a Cardinals fan or a, who was the other team? Or a if you are any of the following, if you are a, Cardinals fan, Bears fan, Colts fan, Texans fan, Vikings, Lions, Chargers, Bengals, Eagles, Jets, Buccaneers, Falcons, Giants, or Dolphins fans, you all are dismissed. You don't have to watch and miss out your football game. And just a note, for those of you who are Lions fans, if you guys lose to the Vikings, you will be eliminated from playoff contention and become the first team in the whole league to be eliminated. So they either will have to win or they're done. All right, moving on to the next sport is World Cup qualification, starting with Africa. Actually, no, Asia. So it looks like in Asia, the top 2 gets a spot, and the third place would have to play against the other team that gets third to get in as well. So it's Iran and South Korea in the top 2, and United Arabian Emirates in number 3. The Emirates would have to take on Australia in order to get in the playoffs if the season were to end today. And then you, of course, got Saudi Arabia and Japan, who are easily going to clinch as well. In, I believe this is Africa. Algeria's in the... Yeah, Africa qualification is complete. So the official teams making the World Cup is going to Algeria, Tunisia, Nigeria, Cameroon, Mali, Egypt, Ghana, Senegal, Morocco, and Congo DR. Everybody else who has not been called, whose country is from Africa, will be missing the World Cup this year. Next up is North America. It is week 13 of 31. There's not going to be eliminations until at least week 16. So that's about 3 weeks away. But here is the leaderboards. The top 3 make the playoffs, and number 4 will have to play against another Confederation team to get in. So you have Canada, United States, and Mexico, which are all the big 3 in North America, willing to make the playoffs. And then you got Panama also trying to get in. What game is that? Oh, that's the CFL. Toronto's playing Hamilton. Moving on to Africa. Not Africa. South America. It is week 60. Eliminations started already, which elimination period basically starts in week 39. It is week 60 now, so of course a bunch of eliminations must have taken place. And we were right. No, we're not. No one got eliminated. Never mind. Surprisingly enough, it's week 60 and no one's out yet. It's week 60 of 78, so they have 18 weeks to decide who's not making in the World Cup. So you have Brazil, Argentina, Ecuador, and Colombia making the World Cup as of right now. Peru is going to have to play another Confederation team. It's probably going to end up being Panama. And then after that, they move on. They would have to... The winner of that game would move to the World Cup as well. All right, moving on to... The OFC has still not started their process, which is supposed to be the Oceania. Which they don't have too much longer. They'll have the start of 2022, and then that's it. Well, because the World Cup has got to start. And it's not going to be in control of any of the 6 confederations. It's going to be controlled by the big hub, which is FIFA, altogether. It's most likely going to go with European schedules because that's where most soccer is as of right now. But it's starting to come to America a little bit more, as I've heard news that the Alpha generation is the highest number of people who like the MLS is in Alpha. So the Alpha generation apparently likes the MLS more than any of the other leagues. I've never heard that happen. So the league is growing. And I could tell because I saw someone in my building a couple weeks ago wearing a DC United shirt. So MLS is growing in America. And it does have plans to take over baseball as well. Not like take over their stadiums, but like become more popular than them. Which, to most people, it's unrealistic. But after the MLB lockout and the fact that MLS is starting to get... Some of their clubs have more money than some of the clubs in Premier League... You gotta think. They're probably gonna do it. They could do it. Now, in order to do that, they probably need to put some teams in markets that really need teams. Like, for example, Arizona. They probably should put a team there. They should also probably put a team in... San Francisco or San Jose. Well, actually, no, they already have one. Never mind. They could also put one in Milwaukee. That doesn't have one either. Milwaukee is doesn't have a team in the MLS as well, and they don't have one in the NHL either. But that's mainly because most of the teams are actually... Some of the teams are in Canada rather than the United States, which is how it started. It's the same for this league as well. The league plans to grow to 30 teams, however, so it's not going to be 32 like it is in those leagues. And then officially for Europe is done with their qualifying round as well. as they're the second confederation to finish. So let's see who the finals make it in. Portugal play-in. Serbia, World Cup. Sweden play-in. Spain, World Cup. Switzerland, World Cup. Italy play-in. France, World Cup. Ukraine play-in. Belgium, World Cup. Wales play-in. Denmark World Cup. Scotland play-in. Netherlands World Cup. Turkey play-in. Croatia World Cup. Russia play-in. England World Cup. Poland play-in. And finally, Germany World Cup. North Macedonia play-in. Everybody else every other European country that has not been called is eliminated and will not make it to the World Cup in any circumstances. And that's basically it for the World Cup qualification. Now it's time for the Champions League. So we have Manchester City and Paris SG looking to get in. Actually, no, they already clinched. It's week 12, so there's only 1 week left. Liverpool and FC Porto in the top 2 in Group B. Liverpool already made it to the bracket stage. Ajax and Sporting CP also made it to that stage as well. Real Madrid and Inter Milan is trying to get in, but they already made it in. They just haven't gotten eliminated. Or they just haven't clinched first seed yet. Bayern Munich has made it in, and however, Barcelona is in the spot right now, but they haven't clinched yet. I scripted F. Manchester United is going to the bracket stage. Villarreal is trying to survive. Group G. Lille and FC Salzburg has not clinched yet. And finally, Group H, Chelsea and Juventus is in. Coming up in a few weeks is the Ncaa Hockey playoff picture for 2022 season, and also the Ncaa basketball playoff picture for the upcoming 22 season as well. Which, once winter sports is starting completely, that's when that will take place. Then inactive leagues, which you're going to have to check in a couple of months, is Ncaa Hockey, which is listed on here. The 2022 season, the 2020 season was canceled because of COVID. Ncaa basketball March Madness was also canceled because of COVID in 2020. 2018 World Cup results, that cup has ended.
What, France versus who? Who is it? France?
And I believe in the 2018 World Cup champions was France, but now it's the 2022 World Cup is coming up again. 2019 Women's World Cup results, the United States won that.
Woo-hoo!
And now baseball is inactive as well, and it could be inactive for maybe even longer than usual because of the MLB lockout, which is probably the worst thing that can happen in sports. Because now there's just arguments going on around baseball, and if it doesn't get resolved, the whole baseball season could get canceled. All right, it is time to move on to some other leagues in sports alerts. CFL in the Canadian Football League, I believe the Hamilton Tigers are playing the Toronto Argonauts. Is that what they're called? Toronto's up by 6. This is the conference final. Today is also Saskatoon versus Winnipeg. I think Saskatoon's going to win. They win everything. XFL, you won't expect to see XFL until 2023, but that doesn't mean it's the end of the spring leagues in football. There's another spring league coming out. No, DC does not have a team. Most of the teams in the new league are all teams that are not in the DFL, which I believe is the United States Football League, aka the USFL. It's the second spring league. They're going to start up in 2022 in the spring. I'm not going to have a favorite team in that because my favorite spring league team is the DC Defenders, and they're not in that league. They're in the XFL. So football's starting to slightly American football's starting to slightly turn into European soccer, where there's like 100 leagues. The best thing that could happen, though, is if the CFL, the USFL, and the XFL merge. We already know the CFL is not willing to merge with the XFL because, I don't know, something went wrong in the talks. Then the league would probably get really big, and even if if those teams get professional enough, they could even merge with the NFL and potentially make a very big league, because that would total up to 25 expansion teams if that does happen. Well, CFL is not really considered a spring league, but it kind of is. As week 1, when does this happen? When did week 1 begin? Well, this was, of course, a shortened season, but usually there's like 20-something weeks. NCAA baseball is also waiting until the spring. Women's NBA has to wait until, I believe, the end of the regular National Basketball Association season, which is sometime in, I think, May or June. I think it's in June or July, one of them 2 months. Men's basketball has already started. However, hockey's still on the wait. Never mind, they started too. And that is the end of that part. Now we're going to talk about access football. First things first, I got pinged 3 times. Why did I get pinged 3 times? Oh, that's why. I saw those messages. So the first thing of access sports is, of course, the community. And the sim leagues that are all featured right now, I'm not featured on there because I haven't really done anything with mine, is the SCFSL. It's a very, very long name. Usually leagues of 5 or more letters are pretty long. SCFSL is basically one of the biggest ones in in the league, but mine has the most amount of teams because I wanted to expand to that much because of the new features that are coming out. In this league, you can choose a player that you want to create. So it's not really 100% sim league. It's basically a developmental league for your own virtual character. And there are currently only 12 teams, but if more people join, there could be more teams. There's going to be There's going to be an expansion, however, in this, and there's going to now be 14 teams in this league, as well as a minor league as well, which is the very first football league to do that, but I don't think my league needs it because it's a sim league. This is a player developmental league, so they probably can use it. And these guys are, again, top-notch as they partner up with charities, and they are been on podcasts. So, yeah, again, this is the biggest one out of all of them. The next one on the list is the USFA. They can't do USFL because that's already an abbreviation for the United States Football League, which is, again, a spring league in regular football. And the United Sim League is basically, as you can see here, this is another player developmental league. It's not the biggest one, but it's there. There are only 6 teams here, though. And I believe this is the league that I reviewed a couple months ago that, and I'm just going to tell you, none of the cities are anything you will ever remember. The cities on there are actually very, very small cities or something like that because I've never heard of any of the 6 of them. Now, of course, there's going to be some of that in my league as well because some people don't know what the capital of certain countries are, which is some of the teams are based off of. Next up is the USFA. Oh, no, we already did that one. Then after that is the XAFL, which is this is a sim league that, again, we're going to be talking about as well. The XAFL is, again, it's a league kind of like my league, but it moves at a faster pace because there are several helpers that work at a decent pace. But again, the games are shortened to 3-minute quarters. Mine's going to be 15-minute quarters because 15-minute quarters is what football's about. And that's why we only have one game a day because they're going to be that long. Games are currently being played on Access 17, but they're going to be moving to 19 next season for Season 5. Hopefully mine works properly and not glitches. Then after that is the RAFL, which is actually, this league has been inactive. They haven't done anything. This is owned by, I think, one of the ex-AFL members. which is the RAFL, which is the same thing, basically. It's literally the same thing as the XFL. It does say the seasons are going to go along with the NFL, but the owner got impatient and completed 2 seasons within a month. And I want to just say congratulations to the not Oakland, they don't have a team anymore. The Oklahoma City Cyclones and the New York Barons, as those were the 2 champions whenever that league happened. Next up is the Nsfl, which the link is currently dead right now, so they're probably going to need a new one. This is known as a player developmental league, which means, again, you can create a player and you can play as them. However, all games will be streamed on either YouTube or Twitch. For our league, the USFL will be streamed onto 5 different platforms, as they will be listed on Discord whenever yours, or you could check challenge.com, as that's where all of them games are going to be scheduled to. I haven't finished all of them, but I did the first couple of weeks, as there's going to be again going to be 24 times. Yeah, there's going to be 28 games per month, as there's going to be games broadcasted on the Discord server. There's going to be games broadcasted on the UAFL YouTube channel. There's going to be some on Twitch, some on Facebook Gaming, some on Omlet Arcade. If you don't know what that is, look it up, because some of them are going to be there. So there's going to be 5 different channels it will be broadcasted to. What are they pinging us for again? That's for Christmas. They ping me every hour, so... And it is something decent. It's not stupid like some other pings are. But again, let's talk about the football leagues themselves. Starting with the UAFL, which is the United Access Football League. No, it's not. Why did I say United? Ultimate Access Football League, which has the most teams ever. And here's how it works. There are 64 franchises, as I mentioned, and a different set of 8 teams will play in each month. It's going to be kind of like a how esports works, where one group of players play in a month. The winners of the group advance to the World Finals kind of thing in the esports community. And here, the top 4 in each division for each month make the playoffs. Oh, and beware, there is such thing as relegation as well. There's going to be a relegation playoff. So that if you finish 8th, you're not automatically out until you lose in the relegation playoff. So each division has 8 teams, as the divisions are as follows. The Atlantic Division, which is going to be playing next month. The Polar Division, Tropical Division, Pacific Division, Arctic Division, Western Division, Central Division, and the Eastern Division. That right there is a typo. I forgot to put a dash here. In the regular season, each team plays their division rivals one time each for a total of 7 games. The playoffs for the best 4 teams will begin in September and probably end around maybe November or December. Well, I haven't calculated that yet. I mean, I could calculate it soon, but I haven't really calculated it yet. And there's going to be 5 rounds. You may think the playoffs is just going to be 31 matches. No, it's going to be more than that because we're going to do certain rounds into series, which means you have to win more than once in order to advance to the next round or win the whole thing. However, the first round is only 1 match, so if you lose or win the 1 game, you win the whole thing and move on to the second round. So there will be a total of 16 matches of that. The second round has 16 teams. However, it's best of 3, so it's the minimum of 30. So it's a minimum of, I believe, 16 games and a maximum of 24 matches, dependent on if it's going to be a sweep or not. As it could be anywhere in between as well. As it's a best of 3, so you got to win twice to move on to the third round. The third round, however, there's going to be 8 teams, meaning there would be 4 eliminations. However, you have to play at least 12. There would be at least 12 matches in the whole round between all the teams, and at most, at most 20 matches in the third round, which is also known as the quarterfinals, if you could call it that. Round 4 is when things get really interesting, as there would be 4 teams and 2 different matches. Now, the schedule of matches are going to be alternating between them all. It's not going to be we start off with 1 game and finish all of them within the next couple of days, in the next week or so. No, we will alternate between each match so that the series would be, so that most teams will not have to wait during the playoffs, as they normally would in the, as they don't normally do that in the other game sports as well. So again, the round 4 will have 2 matches, and it's a best of 7, so it's a minimum of, I believe it's a minimum of 8 games, a maximum of 14 games. So this is one of the series with the least amount of matches. The one with the least amount of matches altogether, but it's also the longest for if you're a single team itself, is the 5th and final round, and that is when the final 2 will compete in a best of 9 series. The top 5, if you win 5 games, you will win and become champions. So yeah. So the Atlantic Division schedule is right here. And I can tell you which games are going to be streamed on which platform. The Philadelphia Express and the Dallas Stampede game will be on Omlet Arcade, Huge Zone 1 Omlet Arcade. I could make a UAFL thing as well, but I don't feel like doing that on that. The Philadelphia Express, again, will be playing the Dallas Stampede. and the game will be on Omlet Arcade at 3 p.m. on January 1st. The Buffalo Grizzlies will take on the St. Louis Racers. This match will be put on the UAFL YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to that if you're fans of the Buffalo Grizzlies or the St. Louis Racers, as it will be broadcasted on January 2nd at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I forgot to mention it's on Eastern Time. The third game is going to be broadcasted on Twitch, and it will be the Boston Whalers versus the New York Barons. The New York Barons will be taking and the Boston Whalers again will be on Twitch. This matchup will be on January 3rd at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And then finally, in the last game of the week, it's the Miami Warriors versus the Washington Senators. This game will take place on January 4th at 6 p.m. And this will be broadcasted to Facebook Gaming. So yeah, those are the opening games. None of the games in the first round are going to be broadcasted at Discord until round 2 with the Barons and the Warriors and the Senators and the Express. Now, dependent on if Access 21 will have the features to have the expansion teams, will also determine the if we do the matches in the months of May, June, July, and August. If we do not have the ability to create teams, then we would have a second group stage, except you would play each other twice in there. And there will be 4 of you, and the top 2 would make it into the playoffs. And all series would be at least twice as long. It cannot go past 9, best of 9. In the playoffs, which would be the sad alternative if that happens. But if we do get to create custom teams, which is most likely, we will be able to have those leagues. Speaking of Access 21, it is supposed to be coming out, I believe, for mobile this month because Christmas is coming up. What did they ping me now? They keep pinging us. Okay, you emphasized that it's important. They ping a lot. Did I get pinged again? Who is this? Who is Toad? I'll join that server later because I am a Ravens fan. All right, moving on to the next league. And this league is the Extreme Access Football League, and it's the divisional series. No, the divisional games and the conference championship games are complete. Where is the scores? That is the end of... That's the wild card. He needs to update that. As the conference championship games were done yesterday, the Buffalo Grizzlies have been eliminated by the Cincinnati Royals, so the Cincinnati Royals will be in the Access Bowl this season, and the Atlanta Razorbacks came up with a huge pass and then a huge kick to win the game in the last few seconds, and the Atlanta Razorbacks will also be in the Access Bowl, so the title will either go to Cincinnati or Atlanta for Season 4. And in my prediction, I think Cincinnati is probably going to take the title home. And it's most likely that Cincinnati will become the third team in the AFC North to win an Access Bowl, as the first one was the Pittsburgh Temper, and the second one was the Baltimore Braves. And if this does happen, the Cleveland Coyotes would be the only team to not ever win an Access Bowl in the AFC North Division. For the rest of the teams in the league, however, things could be different. Next season, things are going to be different because there's going to be different rosters. Because we're moving to Access 19. As our quarterback, I believe, is changing to Lynn, who is trash. And I'm not too happy about that. But who knows? The quarterback in 2022 could be good. It's already out for computers, so I could get a sneak peek already. So who knows? RAFL. Again, this league has died. Who owns this league again? Nobody? There's gotta be somebody that owns this league. Lil Mango. So yeah, here is the champions that I mentioned earlier. And we don't know if there's going to be another season. Moving on to the Discord Football League. Games in Week 7. 2 of them have happened already. Because some people have left the league, we are now getting free wins against those teams because they have left the league before the season ended. Which include the following teams. The Sarasota Shipwreck. The Los Angeles Legion, and, the Baltimore Bayhawks is still in the league, but they're not playing this season. So there's 3 teams you can get free wins from now. And this week, as you could tell, the Los Angeles Legion is gone, so the Missouri Marauders get a free win, and so does the Vancouver Dragons. And for this week, for Week 7, it is going to be the Pittsburgh Temper taking on the Jacksonville Cougars. The Nashville Bruins taking on Boston Massacre. The Vancouver Dragons getting a free win to the Sarasota Shipwreck. The Oklahoma City Drunk Tailgaters getting a free win to the Baltimore Bayhawks. And it will be the Oregon Greenskins taking on the Atlanta Red Hawks? Yeah, it's known as the Red Hawks. That's actually also one of the teams in the UAFL as well. I forgot which one it was. And then you got the St. Louis Marauders getting a free win to the Legion, of course. And then the free wins getting given out in Week 8 is Pittsburgh getting a win. Nashville getting a win. I'm talking about the Discord Football League. It's a different league. As again, the Sarasota Shipwreck again left the league, so that's why Pittsburgh gets a free win. I kind of wish no one left the league at this point because this is ridiculous. Another team getting a free win is again the Bruins, the Nashville Bruins, because the Los Angeles Legion team owner left the league. And then again, the Atlanta Redhawks getting another free win because the owner of the Bayhawks have left the league. Well, no, they didn't leave the league. They're just not playing this season. Next season, they will be playing, though. And for the standings, let's look at the standings. So as you can see, there are 2 games left for each team. Bruins are not eliminated yet. The Dragons are 5-2. But have not clinched yet. The Temper is currently 5-1, but they're getting a free win in Week 8, so they're going to be 6-1 and will automatically clinch the playoffs. The Redhawks also get a free win, so they're 4-4 already. And the Shipwreck left the league, so they're going to be eliminated. And so did the Legions, which is probably going to leave a spot for the Greenskins. Unless if they do put the Legion in as a playoff team and make them get into and make them end up becoming bye games. If that were the case, it would just be me and Shig in the West. And we would play each other, and the winner would move on against either the Temper, the Massacre, or the Red Hawks. And I believe that is the end, unless if you want to talk about some esports, I guess. Speaking of which, we have Stage 1 beginning soon of the huge esports. The game this league plays is multiple games. It's dependent on the season and what people want. So far in this first season, there are going to be 24 different games. However, some of them are single player, and we would have to probably not have any matchups. And now we're going to be talking about some more esports stuff coming up. Matches this week. You have matches in the 2021 IEM, in the 2021 Intel Extreme Masters season, Counter-Strike season 16 winner with a prize pool of $250,000, and this is in 20. This is in December, and here are the list of teams. I'm going to view all. There are a lot of teams. Like, this is the most amount of teams I've ever seen in a tournament in esports history. Like, what in the name? This is so long of a list. There's a lot of teams I never even heard of. Like, for example, Tayloo. I've never heard of them. Some of these team names are just a joke. Like, I mean, they do create some, and this basically allows you to tell that people don't have to make teams' names professionally. They can name them whatever the heck they want. But just know you're going to be known worldwide. As we're currently in the group stage, G2 Esports qualified. And so did Ninjas in Pajamas. In Group B, Virtus Pro and Gambia to Esports has clinched. And in the playoffs, it's currently Ninjas in Pajamas won, and Team Vitality is playing Gambit right now. Then you have the 2021 Valorant Champions League. Why is it changing? Jump to today. And then you also have the 2021 DCP Eastern Europe, some of the matches that you will see in some of these games. I forgot. Which one is this? Is this Dota 2? Yeah, I think it's Dota 2. Counter-Strike, again. Counter-Strike and Dota 2 are two of the biggest esports on here. Overwatch is pretty big too, but I haven't seen the Call of Duty League in a while. Either they're not putting it on here, or I don't know. There's Rainbow Six Siege, StarCraft, and yeah. So let's match it by category. This is League of Legends. And then you got Call of Duty League, which is not scheduled for anything. Counter-Strike. Just look at that. We lost to Ninjas in Pajamas. Or at least my team did. Frickin' never win anything for some reason. Teams don't really have venues, which is the problem. Except for teams in Overwatch. That's the only league where you'll actually see teams from different venues, which I hopefully want to see in the future get implanted into other leagues. Valorant. And then you got Overwatch, of course. Well, not all the teams have venues in Overwatch. This is Valorant. I searched up Overwatch and it gave me Valorant for some reason. Okay, there's no matches. They got Rocket League on here as well. Rainbow Six Siege, Dota 2, Fortnite. I don't know when the next Fortnite World Cup is going to take place. And then you got Super Smash Bros. Nothing scheduled here either. StarCraft. What is this game? I forgot what this one was. I forgot what that game was called. Heroes of the Storm. And that's right. That's what it was called. Most of these games I haven't played. Some of them I have. I played Call of Duty on mobile. I haven't played Counter-Strike or Overwatch. The only ones I've really played is Call of Duty, Rocket League, Smash Bros, and Fortnite that I've ever played before, but I haven't played competitively. Alright, it is time to end this stream as we are ready for the regular schedule of today. However, there's going to be some implications that will take place that will stop us from... Oh, I forgot we have to update this app. That will stop us from broadcasting as we have a football game today against the Steelers at looks like 4:25. So anywhere from 4 o'clock. So any streams that take place in the 4 p.m., 5 p.m., and 6 p.m. range will all be canceled today. Well, actually, I will morph the schedule. So that's going to become a instead of a 10-hour schedule, it will become a 7. So it will be 1 hour already automatically went to this stream, so it's 6 remaining. So 2 hours to Omelet, 4 remaining. 2 hours to YouTube, 2 remaining. 1 hour to Twitch and 1 hour to Facebook Gaming. Facebook Gaming comes at the end of the day because that's when the least amount of people are online and it's the least popular. So that's how that works. We might not get many viewers today because, again, today is a football day.